Welcome to the TikTok influencers you really should know about, the podcast dedicated to showcasing the remarkable individuals on TikTok who are making a genuine impact beyond just their good looks and celebrity status. From advocates for social justice to comedians who brighten our days, this podcast celebrates the diverse talents that make TikTok a vibrant community. Tune in to discover the influencers you may not have heard of yet, but you definitely should know about. Welcome, everybody, to the brand new podcast, the TikTok influencers you really should know about. And I am your TikTok enthusiast, your fellow TikTok enthusiast, and I'm also a media coach. So I am somebody who knows talent, who knows how to grab an audience. And these guests that I have on the show are just, they exemplify that. Absolutely. And my guest today is someone who I have just admired. I've been following, I've been commenting on her posts, and I just think she's just the rockin' amazing thing. My guest today is Michelle Hobbs, also known as the Faded Ginger. So if you're going to look her up, and we'll put a link in the show notes so you can actually just check her out on TikTok, follow her, make sure you make comments as well, but definitely check out her channel on TikTok, the Faded Ginger. Welcome to the TikTok influencers. How you doing, Michelle?
Thank you for having me. Well, I'm so excited. I mean, number one, I love doing podcasts. And number two, I'm the first one on this one. It's so...
You will forever be episode one.
The number one child in the family, you know, like I'm...
Well, your TikTok, the obvious message of the show is that this is a TikTok creator that they really should know about. And one reason, what really captured me is the style in which you start your TikToks. And why don't you tell our audience a little bit about that? Because I just think it's brilliant.
Well, I am a mouthy feminist, and I do like to swear a lot, and I do get very passionate, and I do get quite, about feminist issues in particular, but TikTok did not like it. And in fact, I had the same problem on Instagram many years ago. I had the same problem on Facebook. They would just either shadow ban me or they would strike my videos as, bullying and harassment. So it was quite by accident that I did one particular TikTok, and I was sitting in the car and I was like, you know what? I wonder if I just talked about my lip gloss for 30 seconds maybe, and just tricked the algorithm, because we know that the algorithm is written by men for men. It is written by the patriarchy to uphold the patriarchy. So men can come on these apps and say the most horrendous things to women and about women and never get flagged. We say Team Bear and we get a strike against our names. So I was just sitting in the car and I put the thing in the background, the green screen of the article that I wanted to talk about, and I held up a lip gloss and I was just like, this is, a great lip gloss, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I really like it. I enjoy using it, whatever. Let me know what you think. And then I followed up with, did we get rid of the algorithm? Come here, we need to talk. And that's kind of now become my segue into the actual conversation. Now, of course, we know that TikTok has the attention span of 10-second TED, but a lot of people do hang around a little bit longer, but they still get with the green screen, they still get the gist of what I'm going to be talking about. So it was really by accident. And that particular video got, 800,000 views. So I was like, okay, maybe I'm on to something. And so the next time I did a video, I did the same thing. Now, I didn't go viral, but I was still getting thousands of views and hundreds of likes. So my engagement had gone from being ridiculously to people were actually taking notice, and I was getting those likes and I was getting those views. And so therefore I was like, cool, I'm getting the message out. And basically that was it. So that has now become my format. I always start with skincare, makeup, segue into, getting rid of the algorithm. Let's have a chat, talk about the topic in question. And then I always finish it off with class dismissed, toddle off, bye. And that's kind of just become my signature on all of these videos that I do now. So.
It's a formula that really works, because I think the first video that I saw of you, and I don't know how you came up, well, maybe I know how you came up on my algorithm, because I'm down the conspiracy rabbit hole. I have 5 planets in Scorpio, so I'm like the 9/11, they did it, I've got chemtrails, I'm like all that stuff, right? And so you came up, and you were I was confused at first, because I was like, why is she talking about, and maybe it was the lip gloss. You were talking about some beauty thing, and I was like, why is in the background is a story about a pregnant goat dying after being essayed, raped, whatever, by not 1, not 2, but what, 8 men. That was in the background, and I was like, what the why is she talking about pink lipstick, what's going on? So was that the one that went pretty viral?
Well, that one's now got, so that one I only did that one. It's funny, isn't it? Because you think when one goes super viral, that's kind of my super viral one. It's got like 1.7 million views, a couple of 100,000 likes, and it's still, even today, every time I go into TikTok, it's constantly getting likes, follows, reposts, etc., comments, and what have you. So it was like that was not even sort of my first really viral video, but that's the one that just blew up. That one blew up the internet. That was the one where it went to 1 million views within, I don't know, 4 days or something. And I was like, I've never had that happen before. I've had the slow burn where I'll get a couple of 100,000, and then, and a couple of them that are up there that have, that was sitting on maybe 500,000 or 600,000 have now gone up to 700,000 or 800,000. And I think it was because of the goat video. But it is really funny how certain, you don't even think, this is not going to be the one that goes viral.
Yeah, you don't know.
And then it's the one that goes viral, and you just
you never know. And one thing that I wanted to give the audience an idea of your style and the format of your TikToks, I thought we would share with them, if I get your permission, if it's okay. I would like to share with them one of your TikToks that I think it's one of my favorites, and it's one we can play. we can play. Is it all right if we give them a little taste of
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
So let's go to that. So for those of you who are listening, you will hear this TikTok, but for those of you who are watching on YouTube, you'll see the actual video. And this is Michelle Hobbs, also known as the Faded Ginger. I will make sure I have a link to her TikTok page in the show notes. But let's take a listen and a watch now.
MCO Beauty. I really, really like their makeup range, I have to say. So I picked this eyeliner up with the blending brush on the end. So if you want to do a bit of a smudgy smudge, $6.99 on special. And I picked up the waterproof one for $9 on special. Now, with this waterproof one, I wore it all day and didn't end up with black marks on my upper eyelid, which I was really impressed by. So, yay to Mecca. Well done, I have to say. Well done. Because for older women, these are the issues that we have to deal with. Okay. Did we get rid of the algorithm? Just come here. We need to talk. Imagine you're married, and I have to imagine that because, but anyway, imagine you're married and your husband has a medical emergency. So you call an ambulance, and the ambulance comes and they pick your husband up to take him to the hospital. And you ride along in the ambulance with him, because you're a loving, caring wife. And imagine that the ambulance officers sexually in the ambulance in front of your husband who's having a medical episode. And now imagine that your husband tries to stop that from happening. Yay, husband. And you know what happens to him? the ambulance officers toss him out of the ambulance, where he receives such serious injuries that he ends up dying from them. So, let's establish something. We're not safe at home. We're not safe when we walk at night. We're not safe when we go jogging during the day. We're not safe in hospitals. We're not safe in nursing homes. We're not safe in childcare centres. We're not safe at school. We're especially not safe at church. And now we're not even safe in an ambulance. Is there anywhere on this planet where there are men around that women are safe? That was rhetorical, because the answer is and that's why we choose the bear. Okay, class dismissed, toddle off. Bye.
And that is why I love you.
That one was actually very light on the F-U-C-K word.
Bleep it out. It's okay. So that's just one of many of the TikTok videos that I'm passionate about sharing and getting people to know. And hopefully with this podcast and this episode featuring you, I really do hope people run to your channel and follow you and stay in touch with you, because you're one of those angels that we need right now. A fierce angel. You're like not Michael, not Archangel Michael, but Archangel Michelle with the sword.
Yeah. Well, someone's got to do it, and I'm happy to do it. I'm happy to take the hate because I'm Teflon.
That's
so
right,
I don't
baby.
care how many people come at me, how many people get angry at me, because they literally cannot affect me. But there are people out there who are deeply affected by what people say. So I'm here to say I will hold the torch for you, happily hold the torch for you.
Beautiful. And the thing is, I'll tell you what attracted me to your page, and I look forward to your posts, is I believe that you are speaking on behalf of millions upon millions of women who are just done with the patriarchy, done with the violence, the hatred. It's because it's a hatred of women, of anything of the feminine.
100%. Absolutely, right? 100%. It's hatred of women. Absolutely.
And you're vocalizing it, and girl, you vocalize it. You know what I'm saying? Talk about that, because I think it's not just about like, let's get you in with the pretty little makeup and the algorithm is gone, and then there's this really horrific headline that's too often these headlines, right? But you get to speak it for us,
Yeah.
and talk about that. Does that help? Is that therapeutic as well?
Oh, look, absolutely. Okay, so we'll get really personal. All right. So I will completely open up, and it's something I've been meaning to do a reel about, and I just haven't found the right way to talk about it. When I was 5 years old, I was sexually assaulted on the front doorstep of my home by a 16 or 17-year-old boy. Latchkey kid, of course. We were left home on our own. We pretty much raised ourselves. When it happened, I knew it was wrong, but I never knew how to talk about it. And because I never told a soul for many, many years after the fact, every time I thought about it, I burnt up with shame. Like shame. I felt shame. I was 5. You know what I mean? And that was the first of a couple of times, right? So it's not like just one time where I was essayed by somebody else. Isn't it funny how we've had to develop a whole new language for TikTok?
Yeah.
But it had happened on multiple occasions. When I was 7, a babysitter basically threatened me, wanted me to take my clothes off so he could take photos of me. Oh. When I was 16, I was brutally assaulted by a young man while we were camping. And all these times I thought it was me. It was my fault. What was wrong with me? What did I do? And as I got older and I got more staunch in my belief that, we are equal, right? And in fact, the men are going to get upset by this, but women are superior. We are the life givers. We are the life bringers. We are the true leaders. Yes. Men are not leaders. They're followers. But anyway, I digress. The more I sort of got into my maturity and comfortable in the person that I was, the more I realized that I needed to let other women out there know that it was okay to talk about it. Like, I couldn't say the words "I was raped" on the front doorstep of my house without bright red, this innate level of discomfort where I was so ashamed of the situation, and I thought nobody should ever be ashamed and nobody should feel discomfort. And the more I looked into the reasoning behind that, the more it's because who's the perfect victim? What do women have to do and say to be believed by people? And I've now come to the conclusion that I would rather accidentally side with a liar than ever side with a predator. And that's the message that I'm trying to get out to women out there. If you are in abusive relationships, whether it be emotionally, physically, sexually, financially, if you have been, abused in the past, it's not you. It's always them. And I want women to take that power and become the best versions of themselves, because you know what? That's the ultimate revenge. The ultimate revenge is moving through life just going, I just don't care.
Yeah. And calling calling it out as well. But you know what? When you're 5, Jesus.
Yeah. When you're 5. And of course, the reason I haven't told that story was I did once on Instagram many years ago, and the amount of people that started to blame my parents for leaving me home, and I was like, dude, it was the 70s.
Yeah, no.
Everyone left their kids at home. How about you point the finger at the person that did this?
Exactly.
The conversation always seems to go to, so what was she wearing? Why was she alone? Why was she out at night? Why was she doing this? Why? When it was, no one ever says, why was he doing that?
Yeah. One of your heroes is the woman in France, in Avignon.
Giselle Pellicot. Yeah.
For those that don't know her horrific story, but you've done a video on this as well.
A couple, actually.
Yeah. Tell our audience a little bit about this.
So unfortunately, over decades, Giselle was being drugged by her husband, and then he was inviting strange men to come around and rape her. And the ridiculous part about all of it, aside from the horrendousness of the crime, was the fact that he wasn't even hiding the recordings of what was happening to her. Now, poor Giselle was waking up with STIs, UTIs. She was losing weight. She was losing her memory. She had absolutely no idea of what had happened to her. And it was only because her husband was caught putting phone or video underneath women's skirts. And they went into the police station, and Giselle accompanied him. And of course, the police took his phone. And then all of a sudden started to find all of this stuff. And they said to her, do you know anything about this? And she's like, no. And so it turns out that they know of, because I think it's probably more than 70 men have come in and sexually abused her. And I talked about it initially when it first was brought out on the news. And I think yesterday I did another one, because obviously there's been a lot of follow-up articles about the response from the other men that are now standing in court. And the weird thing is, her husband is actually coming to her defense because he's admitted that he raped her. So he is now almost turning into the hero of the story, because he is saying, yes, you did rape my wife. Because they're all like, one of them was like, well, I thought she was dead. I'm sorry, you did what now? So
what?
Like that was the headline. And I think that was the one you tagged me in. And I was like, okay, so you like to sleep with dead women.
We thought that was okay.
And this is why mortuaries prefer to hire women.
Yeah,
but
of course.
That's another story.
That's a whole other story.
But there was and then there was an article, I think, that said, they were just ordinary guys, firemen and police officers and neighbours, and it's like, well, what did you expect them to be? It is ordinary, everyday men that are perpetrating these crimes. It's not extraordinary men.
I think one of you in that video too, you were talking about the different reasons that they gave. One person said he thought it was a game. Another one, what was the other one? They were bored.
Oh yeah, no, I had nothing to do on New Year's Eve.
I had nothing to do on New Year's Eve, so might as well commit a
Yeah,
sexual assault on someone
yeah.
who was completely out. Yeah.
And the one who said, but her husband said I could do it, so therefore it's not. And it's like, I'm sorry.
Yeah. See, the thing is that what I love about your channel is that you shine a light on these things and you call them out instead of them just being a blip on a headline and gone, right? It's something that you reiterate to the audience that this is unacceptable, and the outrage that we all should have over this, and whatever we're teaching our young men, our boys, we need to teach them something different.
Oh my God, yeah, that's, like, again, that's another conversation, isn't it? Because I think, especially since, and I've watched it happen, we've watched it happen, since the rise of the Andrew Taints, and I call him Taint, I don't call him by his proper name, but, the rise of those men have poisoned the minds of young boys. And when you hear, like, even here in Australia, school teachers saying that they're having problems with their 9-year-old boys because these 9-year-old boys are listening to the words coming out of his mouth and mouths like his. And that's what makes me so angry, is that these platforms allow this kind of behavior. And the sad thing about this, right, because I don't hate men at all, the sad thing about it is these young boys are growing up with a completely skewed idea of how to treat women. And that's why men are experiencing a loneliness epidemic and women are not. Women are banding together, or women are enjoying being single. Men inherently want somebody to love. And that's the problem with the patriarchy. The patriarchy doesn't just harm women, it harms boys and men in equal amounts.
And you just said something really powerful there too a little bit earlier, that women are they're getting done, they're done, they're staying, they're being single, they're becoming lesbians. I mean, my wife and I are very happy. I've never assaulted her while she was unconscious or any of those things, right?
If being a lesbian was a choice, none of us would be straight.
I'll see if there's some nice ladies there in Queensland for you. No.
Well, I identify as queer anyway, so I would happily have a relationship with a woman. But I've been single for 4.5 years, and I'm just I love my own
your own
bubble.
space.
I like my own bubble. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I would have no problems with having a relationship with the right woman.
Well, and I bring that up because there's hashtag Team Bear is becoming quite popular. The more these stories come out, and your videos that expose these stories and these headlines, we choose the bear. I think a lot of times you end your video, or towards the end of the video, you say we choose.
Well,
that's why we choose
true.
the
Yes,
bear.
I do. Yes.
Explain to the audience who is not up on the bear analogy what that means.
Okay, so apparently a guy went out with a microphone to shove it in the face of strange women, random girls and women, and asked them, if you were, in the forest, would you rather be alone with a man or a bear? Now, we all know that they were hoping that their egos would be, squishied and loved by women going, oh, I just would like to be with a man. Of course, predominantly 90% of women went bear, and the men were shocked. And of course, that created outrage, because again, instead of going, oh, okay, why do women feel that way?
Exactly.
They went straight to, my ego is front and center, I'm offended by that, you're all assholes. And again, it created this whole dynamic where, instead of listening to women and trying to understand what the issues are and then resolving those issues, it created an even greater divide between men and women, because men just got so butthurt by the whole situation.
Right.
And I think this is the inherent problem, is that And we are guilty of it as well. I'm not saying that women are perfect. We are guilty of it as well. When the finger is pointed at us, instead of going, oops, let's get uncomfortable with being uncomfortable and let's sit on what has been said and learn from it, we put our ego front and center as well. And we can be just as bad. We're not as bad as men, because men tend to go straight to anger, whereas women go, we tend to go, we do tend to look a little bit more inward, I think, than men do, generally speaking. But
I'd
we can
still
be
rather
just as
be
bad.
stuck in the wilderness. I'd rather be stuck in the wilderness with a woman or a bear as opposed to the other. And you know what? They asked that question. I've seen a few TikTok videos where they've asked that question of fathers, and fathers who are like loving fathers,
too.
right? Not a predator, but loving fathers. And they all said, "Oh, the bear."
Yeah.
Would you rather have your daughter
to be in a forest with you're
they
right.
all said the bear because she'll have a chance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because she'll have a chance at survival.
And
what the heck has gone on with our society?
Well, it's the level of entitlement to women's bodies, and it's been that way for a long time. And I think probably, if you go back to the beginning of, it's going to upset people when I say this, but the beginning of religion is patriarchal by its very existence, is a patriarchal construct designed to control women. Marriage was a patriarchal construct designed to control women. And 100 years ago, well, maybe not 100, but say 150 years ago, women couldn't own property, couldn't have bank accounts, couldn't earn, couldn't keep the money that they earned, because let's face it, the working class women have always worked. It's only been middle and upper middle and higher class, upper class women that haven't had to work. But the women who were forced to work in factories, even back at the Industrial Revolution, were never allowed to keep their money. So we had to rely on a man. The system was set up where we had to rely on a man to exist. And I think it was only, it was the 60s or 70s when women were allowed to open their own bank accounts without the permission of a father or a husband. That's in my lifetime,
It's shocking. Yeah. Well, we've come a long, short way, baby, as they used to say. Well, I am so happy to have finally met you and talk to you and have you on the show. Again, Michelle Hobbs, also known as the Faded Ginger. Check her out. There'll be a link in the show notes. Thanks again, Michelle.
Thank you.
And thank you, wonderful listeners and viewers. Listen, share the word on this. Let people know about this program, because, again, I think these are some people that you definitely want to get to know, and let them be your extended family. They're the cool members of your family, like Michelle. If you want more information about me and my coaching, you can go to christineblosdale.com. If you want more information about this show and you want to stay in tune and know maybe about upcoming guests, you can go to the tiktokinfluencers.com. That's the tiktokinfluencers.com. More to come, more exciting stuff to come. So stay tuned. All right. See you, everybody. Bye.
Bye.